Hello everybody, Xword64 back again today with another video. As of April 2nd, 2025, we finally know the next installment in the Mario Kart series, Mario Kart World, as it was officially revealed during the most recent Nintendo Direct. My goal of today's video is to inform all of you about literally everything we know about the game in a, hopefully, quick, jam-packed format, all before the upcoming Direct focused on the game on April 17th. I'll be combing over the new trailer along with coverage from the Nintendo Treehouse showcases and footage from those who attended the in-person event in New York and Paris. I'll be going over all the notable changes, additions, and new attributes to the series, including game modes, characters, costumes, items, and of course, the new and returning courses. The courses segment will undoubtedly be the longest, but make sure you stay to the end as I believe I have some suspicions on upcoming gameplay mechanics that others may not have mentioned yet. But with that out of the way, let's get into it. For the quick, brief game overview, this is the first Mario Kart game to feature Kevin Afghani's voice work since his introduction in Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and his continued work in Super Mario Party Jamboree and Mario & Luigi Brothership. He's most likely going to voice, well, Mario, Luigi, Wario, Waluigi, as well as Baby Mario and Baby Luigi. One of the bigger changes is upping the total racer count from 12 to 24 racers. This is a series first. Karts, bikes, off-road, or all-terrain karts all return from 8, but kart customization has been removed. Instead, kart selection functions as it did from Mario Kart Wii and titles previous. Hang gliding, underwater driving, and anti-gravity have all been removed from 7 and 8. However, vehicles can now extend their wings from their sides, which have a similar function to gliding, and propellers and inflatables will appear behind vehicles to help traverse across water. These new driving mechanics can be comparable to Diddy Kong Racing's mechanics and Sonic and All-Star Racing Transform mechanics, as they practically function the exact same. You're able to rail grind on specific segments, allowing you to build a mini turbo as you would while performing a drift. You can hop off rails either left or right while being able to briefly stick to appropriate wall surfaces. Tricks return from Wii 7 and 8, but you can now trick multiple times mid-air. You can also apparently trick off of other racers or maybe bounce off of them. It's also unknown how many times you're able to trick mid-air. Not even certain if there's a limit, because in this clip you can see Pauline trick upwards of 6 times, not counting the initial trick to get onto the rail itself. In regards to falling out of bounds, when you respawn, you will lose your items, and Lakitu will give you a boost once you're back on the track. Both of these are features that have been absent since at least Mario Kart 7. When you draft someone from behind, you'll gain an actual boost now instead of a slipstream. The animation of this boost is very similar to a slipstream, but you get a faster boost, possibly equivalent to a mushroom. This could be very beneficial to somebody in the back of the pack attempting to catch up. The physics engine seems to act very differently than what we've ever been used to in the series, really. It seems in whatever instance you get hit by an item, your kart doesn't come to a complete halt anymore. When bob-ombs and spiny shells explode, their explosions affect racers way differently, allowing recovery to be quick and smooth. You can get back to the race a lot faster. Moving on to World's game modes, we currently know of 3, with 5 possibly yet to be announced. Grand Prix, Knockout Tour, and Free Roam are the 3 we currently know, and Battle Mode and Versus Mode are most likely to also appear. The Grand Prix we all know and love has been changed for the first time in the series, and it's a pretty drastic switch up to the format. While each cup still contains 4 tracks, now only the first track of each cup follows the classic 3-lap format, while the other 3 tracks only have 1 lap. The reason for this is because once the first track concludes, you then have to drive towards the next track. This is a part of World's brand new interconnected world, which is probably the core of its identity. The remaining 3 tracks require you to drive through these track in-betweens, which act as a transition or intermission between tracks. Then once you arrive at the next destination, you race 1 lap, then rinse and repeat the process. It's unknown at the moment if the standard 3-lap race formula is absent from the game, as we've yet to see a proper versus mode or standard racing online. There are currently 7 cups we know about. These include the Mushroom, Flower, Star, Shell, Banana, Leaf, and Lightning Cups. It's unknown at the moment if the Special Cup is returning, as the playable demos and Nintendo Treehouse showcases have only shown us these 7. I'll get into each course, both new and old, momentarily, but for now let's move on. Knockout Tour is a brand new game mode to World. It primarily focuses on a knockout elimination bracket between all 24 racers, with the goal of being the last one standing. Instead of cups, knockout tours consist of rallies, with each of the 8 rallies having 6 races compared to 4. These are the Golden, Ice, Moon, Spiny, Cherry, Acorn, Cloud, and Heart rallies. You'll primarily be racing on the track in-betweens I mentioned earlier, but you'll conclude the rally by completing 1 lap on the final track. Each track in-between you race on are similar to section tracks from 7 and 8. In regards to how elimination is determined, Segment 1 you'll need to place 20th or higher, Segment 2 is 16th or higher, Segment 3 is 12th or higher, Segment 4 is 8th or higher, Segment 5 is 4th or higher, and lastly, Segment 5, which is 1 lap around the final track, you'll of course need to aim for first place. This game mode can also be played online, both with friends or peer-to-peer matchmaking. Free roam is probably the biggest and most defining feature of Mario Kart World. Where the environment consists of an explorable open world, the game allows you to disregard any boundaries that are set within Grand Prix and Knockout Tour, meaning you are literally able to drive and explore wherever you want. You can revisit tracks you've raced on and practice learning the ins and outs of each track, both on or off-road. I've seen some worry that there isn't much to really do in free roam, and there's a chance it could get boring really fast. However, I think Nintendo have purposefully held back a lot of info regarding how in-depth the game mode truly is.
And once again, there's more to free roam mode than we're talking about here,
Yes.
so please stay tuned
Absolutely.
for the dedicated Mario Kart Direct that's going to be coming up in a few weeks.
In reality, I think there will be some form of collectible incentive for the player. Coins, of course, will undoubtedly be needed to obtain vehicles, maybe cup unlocks, or whatever else. But I also think free roam could be one of the ways you can unlock costumes for your character, but I'll get into that a little later. At some point in the reveal trailer, we can see a P-switch, and an icon for them also appears on the world map, along with a question block and a Peach coin. All of these unique collectibles clearly have a greater purpose overall, but we don't know what they do at the moment. I imagine they can only be obtained or activated while in free roam. Lastly, there's battle mode, which at the moment hasn't been officially revealed, but due to this, shown very briefly during one of the Nintendo Treehouse showcases, it makes me believe we'll at least see balloon battle and potentially even coin runners return. The race count section on this also makes me believe we are going to get versus mode. Some have also spotted what appears to be battle courses throughout the map, so perhaps there'll be some more battle courses located all around the open world. Only time will tell. As of right now, we know World's roster consists of 50 playable characters, maybe more to come, 30 of which are returning veterans and 20 are newcomers to the series. Here's a list of the 30 veterans, feel free to pause and look. These characters are all returning from previous entries in the series, including some from Mario Kart Tour. As for the 20 newcomers, here's a list for them. All of these are brand new to World and the series as a whole, and they are some pretty interesting picks, I gotta say. The 20 newcomers are what I would like to categorize as Bowser's minions, and I'm unsure, but maybe Lakitu, Shy Guy, Drybones, Wiggler, Hammerbro, Chargin' Chuck, Nabbit, and Monty Mole also fall under this category, but the reason I'm doing this is because those 20 characters can seemingly be unlocked via a brand new item. And speaking of items, they function pretty well the exact same they always have. Item boxes, double item boxes, and coins all appear on multiple parts of the track. New to World, items now automatically hold in a defensive position upon the player obtaining one. This means that most, if not all items will automatically be held behind the player without having to hold the button down. For the triple variants of items such as shells, mushrooms, bananas, they will continue to revolve around the player. In regards to the returning items and their changes, coins, unfortunately to some return. This time, upon use from an item box, will give the player 2 coins and a small boost. The max coin count has increased from 10 to 20 coins as well. The coin box from Mario Kart Tour returns, serving the exact same function. Green shell, triple green shells, red shell, and triple red shells return. Banana and triple bananas return. Mushroom and triple mushrooms return. Golden mushroom returns. Mega mushroom from Mario Kart Wii returns. Feather returns for the first time since Super Mario Kart. Now before the comments go crazy, yes, I know it returns returned in 8 Deluxe, but it was only usable in battle mode. This time in World, it's usable during races. Fire Flower returns, but you can only shoot 8 fireballs now instead of 12. Ice Flower returns from Mario Kart Tour, but you can only shoot 8 ice balls like the Ice Flower. Boomerang Flower returns from Mario Kart 8, but now you can throw it up to 4 times instead of 3. Hammer returns from Mario Kart Tour. Super Horn, Star, Blooper, and Bob-Omb all return, all unchanged. Spiny Shell now affects certain environments when it explodes. Overall, I think it's a buff because it causes unique interactions to occur while racing. Lightning returns, but now it occasionally causes the weather to change to rainy conditions upon activation. I'd consider this a buff to Lightning because once somebody uses it, it'll change the track's terrain type for an unknown period of time. I think that's a huge change because if you're using a vehicle with bad traction, then you're in for a fun time with slippery weather conditions. Upon activation, it acts as it did in previous games before 8 and 8 Deluxe, where the lightning itself only affects those in front of the person who used the item. Bullet Bill returns, but now it doesn't damage others. Very, very questionable change. Boo returns, now making your items invisible too, meaning nobody can steal your items or know of your location while you are invisible. Those are all the returning items. As for the brand new items, there's the coin shell, which travels in a fixed direction on the track, similar to a red shell, while leaving a trail of coins behind it, before exploding, leaving 8 coins in a ring shape on the track. There was a gold shell item in Mario Kart Arcade GP DX, but it functions similarly to a spiny shell, so I'm labeling this as brand new. There's a crystal ball, which is a currently unnamed item that summons Kamek, who then flies ahead and summons a track-dependent enemy to serve as an obstacle for the racers. He'll also turn the character who uses the item and characters who get caught in the magic trail into that specific enemy temporarily. This enemy transformation function is what actually unlocks all of the Bowser minion playable characters I mentioned earlier. Lastly, one of the coolest additions to the series, Dash Food. When you pick up one of these glowing orange bags placed on the track, you'll obtain one of various food items. When you use this, you'll gain a small boost equivalent to a mushroom, and you'll begin to change form. This is where costumes or alternative skins from Mario Kart Tour come into play. As a starting note on costumes, wow am I glad that this feature got brought over from Tour. I think adding costumes was such a good idea, especially seeing how successful they were in Tour. I genuinely thought we were going to get them in 8 Deluxe during the Booster Course Pass era, so I'm absolutely very, very pleased to see them here. It's currently unknown how many costumes each character will be receiving, but through looking at tons of gameplay footage and skimming through the Super Mario wiki, I can get a rough estimate of the amount of costumes at the moment. During one of the Nintendo Treehouse showcases, we can see that during free roam, each individual course will have a set number of costumes to obtain via collecting a dash food. For example, on Mario Bros. Circuit, we can see that Mario himself has 9 costumes to unlock, presumably exclusively on this track. When they scroll down to Crown City, we can also see that there are 10 costumes for that track's respective character. However, we don't know if every track will feature 10 costumes per character. While it's safe to assume that most characters will have 10 costumes, it doesn't exactly mean that they will, at least through unlocking them via free roam. I think it's also possible to determine which characters will obtain costumes, especially if their costumes will be locked by one character per track. I'll talk about courses more in depth later, but there are currently 30 tracks confirmed, and we currently know that 24 of the 50 characters have costumes. Although I'm inclined to believe that the majority of the Bowser's minion characters won't actually have costumes. The reason for this is simply because we just haven't seen any of these characters wearing costumes, and the fact that they're unlockable characters. The only exception to this at the moment are Lakitu, Shy Guy, Koopa Troopa, and King Boo, as we've seen them actively wear costumes. This means that we'll probably see at least 6 more characters receive costumes. As for determining which track a character will have their costumes locked behind, it's pretty obvious and easy to determine that Mario will have his on Mario Bros. Circuit, Bowser will have his on Bowser's Castle, Rosalina will have hers on Starview Peak, but where it gets difficult to determine are when characters share their name or theming with multiple tracks. Peach could have hers on Peach Stadium, or she could have them on Peach Beach. Donkey Kong could have his on DK Spaceport or on DK Pass. So maybe there's a chance that some tracks will share characters, as in they'll have 2 characters per track, maybe? Or maybe some characters won't end up having 10 costumes. It's tough to say at the moment. It's safe to say though that each character that has an unlockable costume will have a default and a touring themed costume, as those have appeared at most if not all characters that have a costume. So as for those 24 characters we know have costumes, we'll start off with Mario. I also want to quickly point out how in the playable demo for those who attended the in-person events, we can see that the character selection has costumes for some reason listed separately from the character they are attached to. We know that this is a build of the game that has specific limitations compared to the final build of the game, so I, among many others, are hoping that they'll group costumes to their respective character, similar to how the colored Yoshis, Birdos, and Shy Guys have in 8 and 8 Deluxe, because as of right now, this is just a really strange layout. Finally, moving on to the biggest and possibly most complicated segment, the game's courses. World undoubtedly has the weirdest lineup of courses in the series, and what I mean by that is that it ditches the conventional norms of what we've been used to in the series ever since Mario Kart DS really. I've talked about this during the Grand Prix section, but from DS onward we've gotten 8 cups, 4 of which were brand new tracks through the Nitro Grand Prix, and the remaining 4 were returning tracks through the Retro Grand Prix. But now in World, they're merging new and old tracks in their Grand Prix Cups. There are 14 returning tracks from previous entries, and 16 are brand new. One thing you may notice in Grand Prix Cups and Knockout Tours rallies is that you may end up playing on some tracks more than once, sometimes during the day or night. As for the tracks themselves and their placements in each cup, the Mushroom Cup features Mario Bros. Circuit, Crown City, Whistle Stop Summit, and DK Spaceport. The Flower Cup features DS Desert Hills, 3DS Shy Guy Bazaar, N64 Wario Stadium, thank God it's finally back after like 22 years, and DS Airship Fortress. The Star Cup features DS DK Pass, Starview Peak, Tour Sky High Sunday, and 3DS Wario Shipyard. To me, personally, this is lining up to be the best cup right now. The Shell Cup features SNES Koopa Troopa Beach, Faraway Oasis, Crown City, this time taking place at night, and Peach Stadium. The Banana Cup features GCN Peach Beach, Salty Salty Speedway, GCN Dino Dino Jungle, and Great Question Block Ruins. The Leaf Cup features Cheap Cheap Falls, Dandelion Depths, Boo Cinema, and Dry Bones Burnout. The Lightning Cup features Wii Moo Moo Meadows, N64 Choco Mountain, Wii Toad's Factory, and Bowser's Castle. Now, as I stated near the beginning of the video, we currently only officially know of 7 cups. However, creator Demons, with footage used by Dawko, came to the conclusion that there is in fact a special cup, though this time it now resembles a Shine Sprite. At least we know the trophy is of a Shine Sprite. Demons deduced that this potential special cup would feature Acorn Heights, SNES Mario Circuit, which combines all 3 Mario circuits, Peach Stadium, presumably this time at night, and lastly concluding with Rainbow Road. We know that Rainbow Road in fact exists thanks to the Korean Mario Kart World website accidentally posting the wrong image of the interconnected world map in its entirety, revealing Rainbow Road's placement on the map. If you want to know how Demons came to this conclusion, I'll link it in the top right corner and in the description. I won't cover Knockout Tour's rallies in depth here, as it's basically the same that I just went over, but even longer, so instead I'll just leave this infographic which lays out all of the courses and in-betweens we know of for each rally, so if you want to just quickly analyze it yourself, feel free to pause. Even though we know the majority of World's course lineup, some who have a keen eye have spotted potential other courses and maybe even battle courses we're currently unaware of. On this zoom out of the world map from the reveal trailer, it's possible to spot SNES Choco Island 2 below N64 Choco Mountain, SNES Ghost Valley 1, 2, and 3 right below Boo Cinema, SNES Vanilla Lake 1 below Tour Sky High Sundae, N64 Big Donut below Bowser's Castle, and lastly, Wii Thwomp Desert just west of N64 Wario Stadium. Some of these discoveries I'm pretty confident in believing. The layouts of all three SNES Ghost Valley tracks seem very convincing and would seemingly function like these SNES Mario Circuit tracks just west of it. I'd imagine if this is the case, then racing on these tracks through versus or online modes, they would end up separating the tracks to race individually on them, or maybe they keep them conjoined. N64 Big Donut, I also believe. We've seen footage of the battle course being used as a transition from Wii Toad Factory to Bowser's Castle. So if this actually is a battle course, then they can just put borders around it just like they did for courses in Grand Prix. As for the discoveries I'm not so sure on, Wii Thwomp Desert may just be a hazardous pit just like this one down here. SNES Choco Island 2 appears to just be a reference more than an actual track, as it seems the layout is just a part of the regular road. And SNES Vanilla Lake 1, I just can't seem to pick out at all. Maybe these people who discovered it have better eyes than I, but I just can't seem to see it. I imagine if these courses and battle courses are in fact real, then we'll probably end up seeing it during the upcoming Nintendo Direct. Well, that concludes today's video. That pretty well covers everything we know about Mario Kart World from the past week or two. If there are any updates to what we know, especially updates we'll receive from the upcoming Nintendo Direct, well, you know I'll be here to cover it. If you have any questions, ideas, or things you would like to see before the release of the game, then feel free to speak down below in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. But with that, thank you for watching. I'm excited to see what else this game has in store before it hits store shelves in June, in saying it doesn't get delayed or the price decides to go up. Either way, this has been Xord64, signing off.